I'm Ange Mack. Welcome to Operation Freedom 2, a fun and friendly show focused on our veterans' quality of life. Very excited today to have with us two experts in the field of adaptive sports. One, Dr. Susan Leidick and Jesse Graham. Thank you for coming on my show today. Very great to have you here. I'm excited to learn about your adaptive sports programs, what we're doing for veterans here locally, and how this really helps to empower them and just makes that great improvement in their quality of life. Before we get started, I have a little segment that I called Our Community Cares Share, and I need my glasses for this so I get it right. And today I want to mention the Prince William Food Rescue. This is just a genius program that was developed, and it addresses the disconnection in supply and access by rescuing food that's about to go to waste from different restaurants and other organizations and businesses that have perishable foods. And what happens is the restaurant will call or get into an application, the Prince William Food Rescue, find a driver to come and pick up the food before it goes bad and get it to the distributor like a food pantry or local church. So it's a brilliant program. It's developed to help move healthy foods from sanitation to sustainment. And if you are a potential donor of food, like let's say a restaurant, you can get this app and download it, and you can contact a driver to come out and get your food before it goes bad. If you want to be a food mover, a driver, kind of like Uber Eats, you can also get on this program, get your information applied for, and be a driver to pick up the food and get it to the place of distribution. And then the third piece is the distribution organization, like a food pantry or a church that gives out this food before it goes bad to our community in need, those that are hungry. It's just a fabulous program, and it's called Prince William Food Rescue. Now, moving on to the interview part of my show, again, thank you guys for being here.
It's great to be here.
It's wonderful to have you. And Dr. Susan Leidick, I've known you for a while now.
Yes, we have known each other.
And it's so great to have you on the show and talk about some of the wonderful things that you're doing around adaptive sports.
Okay.
And I understand you have a commitment to advancing veteran health and well-being through research and advocating for increased access and services. Why is adaptive sports a powerful program from your perspective?
From my perspective, people that have gone through traumatic injuries of any kind, whether it's traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury, lower limb amputations, as far as especially veterans, it's adaptive sport becomes a way of sort of a bridge back into the community, sort of a way to kind of test the waters a little bit in terms of getting back into society, going out there with a group of people, a team.
You have that support.
You have the support.
That support.
Yes.
And you are vice president on the board of directors of the Independence Center of Virginia, and that's end like E-N-D, like end your dependence. So I love that play on words with that. Tell me a little bit more about that program.
Yes. We're the Independence Center of Northern Virginia, so we cover Fairfax County, Arlington, Alexandria, City of Fairfax, City of Alexandria, and Loudoun County, actually. And there's another Center for Independent Living out here in Prince William County. There's 17 of these centers for independence living around the state of Virginia. They're funded through the Department of Rehabilitative Services, as well as the Agency for Community Living, federal agency. And their goal is to help people develop independent living skills so that we have people not stuck in nursing homes after an injury, not in a rehab facility for years, but back into their community, living the fullest lives that they can. So our Center for Independent Living works on independent living skills, information, and resources, such as about adaptive sport, getting that message out, as well as transition services and a number of other different services.
That's wonderful, and so much needed as well. I think it's one of those areas that people don't think a lot about as far as a gap in need that's there, and your center goes in and gets these people that may be stuck in a nursing home or at home and not getting out, and letting them know there are options,
Right.
and engaging with them to get them out and enjoying. I think we're here to enjoy life and get the most out of it and live our best life. So,
Absolutely. So we help people find out ways, the resources they need to get back into the community.
awesome. That's awesome. So adaptive sports, Jesse, what exactly is an adaptive sport? Give us that definition first.
Well, it's a sport. The only difference,
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, the only real difference is it's made to fit the person that's doing it. An adaptive sport can be anything, as far as if you're bowling, learning to bowl from a chair, whether it's throwing a ball from your lap, like a child, using the little roll. Anything that changes a sport so you can continue to do it with the
Yeah, so
disability
just
you have.
making it possible regardless of the condition that you have or maybe some limitations that you have, just
Yes.
making that sport possible.
Yes.
For your particular person. And you were a Master Sergeant in the Air Force
Yes.
for how many years?
I spent 13 years in the Air Force.
13 years in the Air Force, and then you had your injury.
Yes, I was actually at about 11 and a half years, and I broke my neck, random snowboarding accident, freak accident. And after I broke my neck, I went and did 3 months inpatient rehab and finished the last year of my career at Walter Reed.
Wow, wow. So you had your snowboarding accident, and when you realized it sounds like you were probably pretty active if you were snowboarding.
Little
So
bit.
you were a pretty active guy.
A little bit, yeah.
And just enjoying the slopes and getting out there and doing your different sports, probably to include snowboarding.
Yes.
When you had your accident, did you have a fear of, I'm never going to be able to get out there again? What was your attitude?
So I still remember it. When I first had my accident, I remember the doctor telling me I had broken my neck, I'd never walk again. And I remember thinking to myself, prior to ever being injured growing up, I always told myself I'd rather die than be in a wheelchair, than use the use of my legs. I was a runner growing up. I loved everything athletic, and shortly after my injury, that evening, I realized I didn't want to die. I realized I wanted to keep living.
Yes.
So I woke up from surgery the next day, and I decided, okay, this is just a new challenge, no different than challenging yourself to running a marathon or challenging yourself anything else. It's just a new challenge, and if I'm going to be in a wheelchair, if I'm going to be a quadriplegic, I'm going to be the best quadriplegic I can be.
That's awesome. No, I love that. What a great attitude, because I know there are people that don't have a similar attitude, and they really let their injury become themselves instead of them being who they are and adapting to and overcoming, the limitations that they might have.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
And honestly, that's why sports are so important. I found, as Susan was talking about bridging the gap, they say somebody with a spinal cord injury, it takes an average of about 7 years before they actually become active in the community again, whether it's sports, recreation, work, whatever it is. It takes about 7 years before the average person. And I found that adaptive sports kind of bridges that gap and brings that
and for
number
you,
down.
it was 7 hours. So
It
most people
was a
7
little
years, 7
different.
days for you. So yes,
A little different, yeah.
No, it's so important, and the more we can get this information out there and let people know that there are options, and hopefully they don't have to go through that 7-year, whatever that process is. Hopefully they don't have to go through that, and I'm sure a lot of struggles and
Yes.
and other hardships they might encounter, they can kind of get themselves at least pointed in the direction of some fun things that they could do for themselves. What was the first sport that you got back into? I think you said you were training for an Ironman, and then you said maybe not an Ironman, but a triathlon?
Yes. So before I broke my neck, I had just done Ragbri, which was a 7-day ride, 450-mile ride across Iowa. I just ran a
Wow.
marathon, and I was
Wow.
training for an Ironman that summer. And so I broke my neck, and actually the first thing I did, I pushed a 5K 3 months after I broke my neck in my everyday chair. And then I had signed up for a triathlon, I think it was 2 months after. And so I completed the triathlon
So the
4 months.
the swim, the bike, so you had
Yes,
one of
hand
those low
cycle.
bikes,
Yep,
hand
I had
cycle
a hand
bikes?
cycle, and then I used a racing chair and pushed the 5K. It was a sprint triathlon.
Yes.
Slowest triathlon of my life by far. I just wanted to cross the finish line and prove to myself that I could cross the finish line. And I did.
That is an awesome story. And I've done triathlons and sprints, and I'm fairly certain that you probably beat my time. So, but the idea is just getting through, right? Just,
but
you know,
yeah, it was just about
making
finishing.
it. No, that's incredible. And when did you first look into other sports? Was that that was on your radar in the beginning, and you just wanted to do this triathlon piece too?
Well, I kind of worked. So I went to Rehab Institute Chicago, and they had a adaptive sports camp for military. They do it every summer. They take 50 vets. And so I had talked to the rec therapist before I left inpatient, and he set it up so I could come out for the sports camp. And the triathlon actually fell that Sunday at the end of the sports camp. So I did 3 days of the sports. Well, it was a 4-day camp. I did 3 days of the sports camp. He got me all the equipment. I think I woke up at like 4:30 in the morning, called an Uber X, loaded up the equipment in the Uber X, met my friend out there that was doing the triathlon with me. She was a dietitian at RIC. And we did the triathlon. I got done, went back and rejoined the sports camp and finished out the day.
Wow, what a day. Yeah.
So I'd that camp I had done swimming, wheelchair basketball, shooting, archery, rock climbing, scuba diving. They just kind of did a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. Kind of seeing what you like to do, maybe things that people had never even done before, you know, prior to the injury.
Yeah. I mean, there were some new things out there that I had done or had never done. Actually, they even had wheelchair taekwondo, adaptive taekwondo out there. It doesn't work very well for quads, but
right.
But you know, got a chance to try to experience it.
And so you kind of dabbled in all the different sports, did your triathlon. Oh, by the way, did a triathlon while I was doing all this. And then you come back to Virginia, and do you start a team? Do you find out about a team? How do you get involved in, it's the wheelchair rugby Team Mutiny of Northern Virginia?
Yes. So it was actually my therapist had linked me up at Walter Reed. She had linked me up with a guy that played for the DC team. And he had started calling me. I had some medical stuff that prevented me from playing rugby right after that. But he would call me every couple weeks. Hey, just checking in. I don't even care if you come out to rugby. Come hang out. Just want to, hang out, let you know life's going to be okay type thing.
Cool.
And so I got to know Robbie and went and played for the Washington, D.C. team for 2 seasons. And then we had an extremely full roster, so we broke off of Washington, D.C. and started a Northern Virginia team.
Ah, okay.
And
a little more local.
A little bit of play on words. We created the name Mutiny just because we broke off.
There you go.
It was no hard feelings or anything.
Sure.
It was just,
it's a cool rugby name.
Just had a little fun with it.
Right. And I know, Dr. Leidig, one of the first things that I did with you with the Northern Virginia Veterans Association is I came out to, observe your wheelchair rugby because you are supporting that and supporting this program.
Yes.
And it was just amazing. I mean, I thanked you for allowing me to come out and just talking about what it takes to to support a program like this, to help people get into, because they're specialized chairs, right? You have specialized sports rugby chairs that you have to get in and out of and prepare yourself. You have gloves and other things, and it was how did you get involved with that? Was that a piece of your other program?
Well, I was did my dissertation at George Mason University in rehab science, and my dissertation was on adaptive sport. So quad rugby teams, wheelchair rugby teams, and sled hockey team up in Rockville, the USA Warriors. So I got to know these guys through my dissertation, and I had no interest in sport before, but I just saw the power of sport to bring people back out, people that perhaps would be sitting home alone in a wheelchair, and yet they're out there smiling and laughing and giving each other a hard time out on the court.
Yeah, I heard some of that going on. Yeah.
And to me, it was just such a powerful psychological kind of a rehab and social activity that I had to help get this Northern Virginia team going. So the summer after I got did my dissertation and got my my degree, spent the summer looking for a location for us to have the team practice, which is at the Providence Community Center.
The Providence Community Center in Fairfax.
In Fairfax,
right?
Yes. And so for a couple years, came out as a volunteer, helping transfer guys from their regular chair to their wheelchair, helping them put on their gloves, helping with whatever they needed, really.
Sure.
So I did that for a couple years, have help get this team really going, and now it's strong. Has a physical therapist from Inova Hospital that's the coach, and a lot of volunteers, the students. So I'm not needed as much as a volunteer right
Well,
now.
I know when I was there, I talked to a wife of one of the rugby players, and she told me that this program literally saved her husband's life because he wasn't getting out of the house. He was feeling, I don't know who it was, but he was feeling horrible, and she's like, this is the thing that really saved my husband's life. So, I mean, it's great fun, but it can be that turning point for people.
Yes.
In the research that I do, in fact, upcoming this weekend at Paralyzed Veterans America, the Code of Honor tournament in Springfield, Virginia, I'll be interviewing actually the family members of the quad rugby players this year to ask what is the benefit. Just like,
Right.
And the year before interviewed the participants, the actual rugby players, and they tell you about the deep meaning that quad rugby has in their life in terms of the social. It gives them a social circle, network, opportunities to find jobs and internships.
Sure, yeah,
and
that whole
sort of
networking,
thing.
people getting
Yeah.
out in those groups, and I can imagine the benefits are vast. I mean, it's more than just just getting out there and exercising. That there's an emotional component, there's a spiritual component, there's a physical component. Tell me what it means to you, Jesse.
Well, like you just said, I mean, it's a lot more than just playing a sport, and what I try to get across to when I get people to come out and getting people just into adaptive sports in general is, and I love physical therapists, I love OTs, I had some amazing ones, but that ends. At some point, all of that ends. You leave the hospital, they stop sending you to therapy, insurance doesn't pay for it anymore. Adaptive sports, recreation, that keeps you in shape, that keeps you moving, that keeps you able to make those transfers, able to do everything you need to do. And so it lasts you a lifetime if you allow it to. So from the physical standpoint, right? It keeps you healthy, it keeps you from getting sick, keeps your mind right. There's so much to it. And then not only that, then you have the guys like Robbie Beckman, who was out there, calling me in the beginning, trying to just make sure I'm okay, and I was doing okay, but the guys that aren't doing okay, those calls mean the world to them.
Sure.
And so it's a mentorship, it's camaraderie, it's going to a tournament. You learn most of the time when we go to a tournament, they don't have adaptive hotel rooms for all the guys that are there in wheelchairs. So you learn to adapt real fast.
Right.
They don't adapt to you,
imagine.
you adapt to them. And so you learn how to get around areas that aren't always ADA accessible. So there's
Real
a
life
lot
challenges,
to it,
right? Real life challenges.
And you
Not
learn
every
from
place
other
is gonna-
people. You learn from the struggle sometimes.
Of course, I think we all do, and some obviously more than others. How many people do you have on your team now in Northern Virginia?
We have a roster of 12 right now.
12 right now.
Yeah.
What's your goal? How many do you want to have, or how many can you have? Because what I want to do is let our viewers and community know that this is an option for those that may want to come out and play ball with you guys.
So our thing is we want as many as willing to come. We'll always find money for funding if we have to break off and start another team. That's always an option.
And that would be a great option, right?
And
You have so
it
many.
means the sport's growing, and it means people are getting out there and doing something. Even if you don't qualify to play, but you just, if you're in a wheelchair and you want to come out and you want to smash into some people, we welcome you. Right now we got a low-level paraplegic who doesn't qualify to play the sport, but he's been coming to practice every Tuesday and he loves it.
Taking notes, yeah.
It allows you to get out
Involved.
there and just be involved and get some energy out and get some aggression out in our sport a little bit.
That's great, and I hope that we can get the word out so even more can come and take part. and play this with you guys and gals. It's co-ed, right?
Yes,
it's
yes,
co-ed.
yes, it
So
is.
that's fabulous too. But you do other things. You were in the Paralympics, is that correct?
I
Or
was not a
Invictus?
Paralympian. I did Invictus Games.
Tell us about the Invictus Games. They're international, correct?
They are. So the Invictus Games were started by Prince Harry, and he created them based off of the U.S.'s version of the Warrior Games. But he just wanted to make it a lot bigger and better, and he accomplished that. The last one I went to was in 2017 in Canada. There was, I want to say, 600 plus athletes there.
Wow.
From all over the world.
A lot of Canadians, eh?
There were quite a few Canadians. There were people, I think, 17 countries involved, 17 or 18 countries involved. The 2020 Invictus Games, I believe, are in Denmark this coming spring, and it's an amazing experience. If anyone gets the chance to go watch, a lot of times it's on ESPN.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And
it's
probably
great.
great experience for you and the
And
travel and
it is, and
all the people that you would meet. And
well, I mean, honestly, talking to Prince Harry there a little bit.
you talked with him?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, he
What
goes
did you-
around. He's there from the first event to the last event every day.
Okay.
Goes up and talks to literally talks to everybody.
What did you say to him?
The last one, he tried to steal my hat.
Oh, well, I think he has plenty of hats, so
I
he
told him
doesn't
no,
need yours.
but
Yeah.
yeah, no. He just asked how it was doing. He asked about my injury. He just asked how life was going.
kind of a cool guy?
Just nice and interested, and you can tell he's
Genuine?
yeah, he's genuine. He loves what he's doing.
That's great. That's great. Well, I want to go into kind of the transportation segment of our program, because one of the biggest challenges for veterans is having access to some of these resources, the fun stuff, but also doctor's appointments and things like that. But specifically for your Mutiny game in Fairfax, if you don't have your own transportation, what is the best way for a veteran to get out there? Or best ways? Or is there a best way?
So, in my opinion, the best way, if you have the funds or the ability, your own transportation is always probably the best. If that's not an option and you're in an area that the Metro Access covers, that's always an option.
So by Metro?
By Metro.
And it's pretty close to a Metro stop there in
It's
Fairfax?
actually right off a Metro stop.
Which
I
one?
think
It's very close to the Vienna
Vienna
Metro.
Metro stop.
Vienna
Yeah.
Metro.
Vienna Metro, okay.
Yes.
and it's
Good,
about
good.
about a half a mile probably.
Yeah, very close.
So
Yes.
half a mile from the Vienna Metro. They also, again, they offer the Metro Access that comes and picks you up, but it's not always the most dependable service.
Sure.
The other option is if you contact and you have no means of getting there, and they contact the team through the team Facebook page, there's always an option that one of us can come pick somebody up. We're always willing, as long as it's not too crazy of a drive.
Right. No,
Well,
that's
we're willing to come help out. And,
team sport all the way
yeah.
around. So
yeah,
you help
it's
one
it's
another.
about getting people out there.
Exactly. Well, this is good information. I know transportation again is always a challenge. We want people to be able to get out, and it's great that Virginia has all these wonderful programs. But if you can't get to them, what's the point?
Right.
The Northern Virginia Veterans Association, of which I'm president of, this is our biggest challenge. And in our next quarterly meeting on 18 February, I'm inviting all the players out that have something to do with transportation, that have ideas on how we can have solutions to this problem, because it is pervasive. We're having Omni Ride, their Wheels program, come out to talk, and also the Volunteer Prince William, which also has a veteran ride program too, and some others throughout Northern Virginia. So I know you mentioned Tammy and her business. Tell me again the name of her
It's
business.
a Driving Rehab Center of Excellence.
Driving Rehab Center of Excellence. So
Yes.
I'd like to invite them out as well. And the
Yes.
idea is to get us all together in one room and really discuss. 5 years we've been challenged with this. 5 years that I've known this was such a huge issue, limiting people getting to their appointments to the VA, getting home, getting someone to wait for them while they go through chemotherapy, like all of these really nuanced challenges that fall through the cracks when people say, oh, we have the bus system and we have this. Well, that's not always, going to work for a lot of us. Again, thank you so much for coming on today, Jesse,
been a
Dr.
pleasure.
Lydic.
Thank
Loved
you.
having you here. And I would just like to say, if anyone wants further information, please go to my blog spot, Dr. Ange Mack blog spot. We will have the links to their information, how to get in touch with Jesse and his Mutiny team, and Susan Leideck and her Independence Center as well. And until next time, enjoy your freedom to play ball.